During holiday travel, some people get delirious. Some get delayed. And some get Del Griffith.
American Light and Fixture, Director of Sales, Shower Curtain Ring Division.
Neil Page got all three.
I was on my way home to spend a nice holiday with my family. Instead, I'm in a motel bed with a stranger.
So instead of Thanksgiving with his family, he's spending 3 days with the turkey.
Two happy clams just whistling down the road.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, they're the Marconi family.
Paramount Pictures presents
Wilma!
Steve Martin.
You ever been to Hawaii?
Yeah.
You see that hole while you were there?
See the second show, that's the best one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
John Candy.
Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between two pillows. Those aren't pillows.
In a new film by John Hughes. Planes, trains, and automobiles.
See that Bears game last week? Yeah, hell of a game, hell of a game.
Artificial uteral environment. Fluid color change to stage 3R. Completed at minus 73 hours 11 minutes. Clone 1 delivery target. Surface light reflection verifies liquid density. This notation corresponds to computer code clone birth phase 7J. Heart rate verification cycle. Automation on schedule. Clone prenatal audible heartbeat nominal. Clone monitor functioning 5x5. Clone development on schedule. Clone 1 delivery target, minus 73 hours, 9 minutes, 12 seconds, feasible. Eccentric activity reported, clone uteral environment 1-3. Not observable. Autonomic nervous system check. Unimpaired. Spasm muscle contraction. Automated clone monitor identifies eccentric movement report as normal first kick.
That means we're almost at the end of the countdown, Simon. Only 72 more hours to sweat out. 3 days.
And it wasn't the same kind of movement.
It's like walking the edge of a razor. Dangerous, but exciting. No way to turn back. Fascinated with going on. Fred?
The Chancellor went through the roof, Ezra.
Well, let me quote him to you. What's the point of having a meeting of the heads of departments if the chairman of biochemistry excuses himself again? How close am I, Fred?
Almost verbatim.
You know, Dr. Shane.
Of course, so
Great.
Say, if you see the Chancellor, you haven't seen me.
You got it.
What's on my schedule this morning?
Sir, I've got a grad student's enzyme project to show you.
This is fantastic. It's fantastic. Tell him I think he's wrong.
Why?
Because he's so sure he's right, somebody better rock the boat. A prod isn't a prod unless it hurts some.
Very devious mind you have, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. That should be Harry. Make yourself look busy. Come in.
Gentlemen,
All right. What's new?
that's my question, Doctor. What is new?
Good and bad. The bad news is the cloned rabbits aren't. And by the time we redesign the responsible faulty equipment and build it, we'll have lost 3 months.
And burned up another large sum of money.
That sounds like we're having trouble with our bank, Harry.
You are. I got a call from Washington this morning. The subcommittee refuses to allow any more funding without some progress reports on your experiments.
We gave them a prospectus and game plan on our experimental thrust before they gave us a nickel. We're on page 11. Tell them to be...
Dr. Louthin, I'm your contact. That's my job. When Washington tells me to tell you they either get detailed reports on your work or they'll cut off your funding, I tell you. Now, what is it going to be?
Do you have any idea how much time we'd waste making out the progress reports you're asking for?
They have to have an accounting of their money, Doctor. And there is no need for you to do anything more than give them a photocopy of your lab notes. That'll satisfy them.
The hell I will.
Look, we'll have progress reports ready for you next time you come, Harry.
How long do you need?
2 weeks.
I have to send something along sooner. Put together what you can and I'll come by Thursday.
How many copies do you want, Harry? A couple of hundred for general distribution? After all, this is only a top secret project, or has it been declassified?
Look, Doc, I am just the messenger. They tell me and I tell you.
Well, then act like a messenger. You said 2 weeks. Come back in 2 weeks.
You're taking their money, you've got to play their game. Now blow your cork if you have to. But if there is nothing for me to pick up Thursday, you're out of business.
All right. You're right. Simon, give Harry the other attaché case. If you're waiting for an apology from me, Harry, don't. There's a name for people who sell themselves for money, and as you pointed out so accurately, that happens to be just what we're doing right now, and I don't like it.
See you Thursday.
The Eagle has flown over us again, Dr. Shane.
What happened to all your fury?
Anger ploy number 2A, designed to disconcert and otherwise confuse officious bureaucrats. It still bothers you, doesn't it, Simon, taking their money and not telling them what we're really doing with it?
Given the choice, I'd always rather deal all the cards straight up.
We can't trust them, Simon. I've been involved in government projects before. Given any opportunity, they'll interfere. People who don't know anything about science.
Nobody can know about everything. We don't know about politics.
We don't interfere, set impossible schedules for them. What we're working on is so significant, we can't put it into their hands until we've proven it. If we have to con them, then we have to con them. But we can't let them get in our way now. We can't.
I know that. I accept it. I just don't have to like it.
You don't have to.
You've got a seminar in 3 minutes.
You think I'm jaded. But we're too close to gamble that this might be the one time in 1,000 that the bureaucrats don't interfere. It's a grotesque game, Simon. But we innocent scientists are forced to play it.
Sorry I'm late, Mr. Salt.
You're not late, Harry. You do seem a little tense. Something go wrong?
No, nothing. I just ran into some lunatic traffic on the way out here. I guess it jangled my nerves a bit.
Oh, I thought what was making you tense was that unauthorized bug you placed in Dr. Louthin's office.
Yes, I was going to talk to you about it at this meeting. When I got the idea, you were in Zurich, and I didn't want to call you and discuss it over the phone.
That's a lie, Harry. You put that thing there 2 months ago. We've met since then.
Mr. S., I don't know what you're thinking.
I'm not thinking anything. I'm listening.
We both know Louthin and Dr. Shane are waltzing us around. Now, I thought I could push them in a line if I got to know them better. And it worked. We'll have some progress reports by Thursday.
And you are sure that these reports they intend to give you will be authentic and accurate?
I threatened to cut off the money support.
Didn't work, Harry. I heard them. You played the only ace you had. It just didn't work.
Look, I wouldn't do any...
Would you mind closing that door, Harry? It's so chilly in here.
Sure.
No question, a situation with those biochemists is probably the most important thing I'll ever be involved with. You putting that bug in the office could jeopardize my involvement, my money. Harry, where would you send one who jeopardized all that?
Out in the boondocks, I guess.
What's wrong with it?
With what?
My computer enzyme portrait.
I think you're wrong.
With all due respect, Dr. Louthin, I know there's no way to disagree with that projection without 2 weeks of computer analysis, and I didn't hand that copy to Dr. Shane till late yesterday.
All I can do is give you my best advice.
Excuse me. Let me introduce you, Dr. Louthin. This is Gussie Wooja, graduate nurse and now a candidate for her doctorate in biochemistry.
You knew this was coming, didn't you? There's nothing wrong with it, and you know it, Gussie. I was trying to motivate you. I made a jackass of myself, and I apologize. As proof, I'll take you both to lunch tomorrow. Now, go back and do whatever you were doing, and let me get my air of Papa's superiority back together.
malfunction. Can't locate the problem.
I've got it. Get me a valve run 26. Hurry, hurry! It's a relay to the temperature control thermostat. Check the effect.
Internal temperature's dropped a half degree.
That's all the variation it can handle. We could lose this one. That's got it.
Temperature's rising. Back to norm.
We just made it, Simon.
Now, the equipment never did identify the problem.
I screwed up on the relay design, but at least I didn't miss patching it into the warning system.
I designed the relay boxes.
And you screwed up. Either way, it's taken care of.
We work in a ivory tower environment.
We biochemists couldn't survive without the insulation. What hooked you, Gussie?
Well, it had nothing to do with not liking nursing. It was, well, I was almost out of nursing school before I found out what biochem really was. And I said to myself, Self, that's really for you. So here I am, having lunch with a department chairman at my favorite restaurant.
What part of Poland is your family from, Gus?
Poznan.
I was in Warsaw once for a conference, but I never got to... Do something for you, sir?
Detective Ben to Dr. Louthin. Mind if I talk to you for a moment?
Please. This is Gussie Wojcik, Dr. Shane.
Do you know a Harry Tizer? T-I-E-Z-E-R, Doctor?
Yes, I do.
What can you tell me about him?
Mind telling me why you're asking?
Well, Mr. Tizer's in City Hospital. He apparently suffered some kind of attack. Drove his car up to the door handles into the ocean. He can't talk. He stares straight ahead. We didn't find any identification in his wallet, but we did find an address book. The front page was written his name. The only other name in the book was yours. Can you explain that?
No.
Are you related to him?
No.
Well, can you put me in touch with his family or employers?
I'm afraid I can't.
You can't or you won't, Doctor?
I can't.
Do you know Harry Tizer, Dr. Shane?
Yes, I do.
Suppose you can't tell me what you know about him either.
No, I can't. I'm sorry.
You know the word clone? C-L-O-N-E? Does that mean anything to you?
What makes you ask?
It's something I can't tell you, Doctor.
Well, then, clone. According to the dictionary, a clone is an organism derived from a single cell by various types of asexual reproduction.
I already looked that up, thanks. I meant, what does it mean to you?
Not half as much as it does to Dr. Shane. It's his special field. He's very tenderly referred to by the students and the professors at the university as the clone master.
practical terms, what that means is I failed at more cloning experiments than anyone else.
Why would the word clone be so important to Harry Tizer?
You're putting us in a very difficult position, Mr. Bender. We'd like to help you, but we can't answer any questions directly related with Harry, and we can't explain why we can't.
Well, you're gonna have to explain it sooner or later to somebody, doctors.
Harry. Said. Salt.
Why is your office at the university bugged, Dr. Louthin?
You'd better explain that question.
Well, we found a radio receiver on Harry Tizer. It was tuned to a specific transmitter. People ran it down, and they found out where that transmitting unit was. There's a lamp in your office. What's it doing there, Doctor?
I don't know. I didn't even know it was there.
It's possible. Now, about Harry. He didn't suffer a stroke or an attack of some kind. He was given a nerve poison, probably in a gaseous form. That turned him into a vegetable.
Have they identified the poison?
No, but they surveyed the amount of nerve damage. Harry's legally dead, which means he was murdered or committed suicide.
Now, suicide isn't likely.
So that leaves us with murder. Now, why don't you tell me what you know about Harry and get yourselves off the hook?
We'd like nothing better than to tell you about Harry, but we can't.
And as far as being on the hook is concerned, you have no evidence to tie us with what happened to Harry.
Except for one fact. See, Harry scrawled a word on the dashboard before he lost consciousness. C-L-O-N-E, clone.
Detective Bender, we know you have a very difficult job, but you're forcing us to play games because we can't tell you about Harry. Now, if you seriously believe we're responsible, it's your job to charge us with it. And it's our right to have an attorney. Shall we call an attorney, or can we leave? We can't be sure that was the only listening device planted in your office.
We can't be sure anywhere else isn't bugged. Our apartments, our cars.
Do you think there's a chance they might have bugged the deep lab?
That's the one concern I don't have. The security systems are so sophisticated that even if they managed to get inside, the presence counter would have recorded their having been there.
That's the only place we can feel safe discussing the clone experiment now.
We're so close, Simon. Matter of days. Now this. Why would Harry have bugged my office?
Because we danced him. We never really gave him any choice.
There's another possibility. Harry didn't plant the listening device. Somebody else did to steal our clone results. Harry found out. They did Harry in.
But who could they be? Who else would know what we were working on?
I don't know. When Harry's replacement shows up, that's the first thing he's going to have to find out.
But we don't know when he will show up. We can't abort our real experiment. We can't even slow it down. You could call whoever our Washington contact is.
We don't have one, Simon. I was approached by Harry. He never revealed the name of the department we're working under or the name of his superior. Harry was our total contact, period.
Well, I think you should fly to Washington and find out who we are working for.
Your plan is right, but you've got the wrong one of us on the plane.
But you know Washington.
But you can move faster. And we've only got 48 hours left.
And nearly every department and government agency is into scientific research in some way or other. I can't even guess where to tell you to begin, since you can't tell me what you're working on.
And the fact that it's biochemical doesn't help.
Not much. Almost every project has some biochemical involvement. If the basic application is medical, then I'd say go see HEW. But I can't think what they'd be into that's so secret.
Excuse me. Is one of you Dr. Simon Shane?
Yes.
Yes, there's a phone call for you. Just pick up one of the lobby house phones.
I'll be right back.
Miss, do us another round, please.
Certainly.
And, but for an overweight teenager who had an aggressively upset stomach during some turbulence over Ann Arbor, it was an awful trip. How are the children?
Growing like weeds. Did you see your friends?
Well, they can't offer much help. How can they when I can't tell them what it is I need help with?
Yeah, it does complicate your chore. Oh, by the way, I talked to all the people on the Washington list I gave you. Strike numbers 5, 9, and 10. The others are expecting you to call them.
5, 9, and 10. You know, I feel like a half-wit talking in code.
So do I, but since electronic bugging exists, we have no alternative. Anything else?
Well, that's it. I'll start making the rounds tomorrow and see what I can find out.
Remember, we're down to 37 hours. I'll call you at the prearranged time and place.
Roger, Agent X. This is Agent Scotch and Soda signing off.
You sound as if you don't feel cut out for this kind of work.
That may explain why I went into cat burglary instead of joining the CIA. Good night, Doctor.
Good night, sir.
Kiss the kids.
Both Shane's and Louthin's offices. There was nothing that referred to cloning there.
I need more information, Alba. As much as I hate to, but he leaves me no choice. I'll have to take the more drastic alternative.
Kidnap Dr. Louthin.
And 2 briefcases he never leaves unattended. The clone research notes must be in there or they're in his mind.
He should be pulling into his parking place in a few minutes. He comes back every night at 11 to do the departmental papers.
Do you have your personnel ready?
Of course.
I think it's most wise to remain far removed from the abduction.
As you wish, sir.
You all right?
Neither you, Dr. Louthin, or Harry Tizer appear anywhere in our files, Dr. Shane.
Would a most secret project be listed in your files, Commander?
Security regulations won't allow me to answer that. And if you're really involved in a most secret operation, you know better than to ask that question.
Look, Commander, we were approached by a representative of a government agency. The project is most secret. We only had one contact, and he's incapacitated. Now, Commander, if you were in my place, what would you do?
I'd sit tight and wait to be contacted. That's the system, Doctor.
Unfortunately, we can't sit tight. Our experiment can't wait. Our offices have been bugged. Now, wouldn't that seem to indicate some kind of urgency in getting this whole thing straightened out?
It certainly would appear so.
Well, then do something about it.
You and your project don't belong to us, Dr. Shane. Now, if you don't know who you do belong to, how do you expect me
To know. And if I don't know, how do you expect me to know who to contact on your behalf? And another thing, how could you and Louthin be so dumb? You work on a most secret project and you don't even know what department you're working for?
That's been pointed out to me all day long, Mr. Huberman. First by the Pentagon, then by HEW, and now by you here at the Defense Department. I swallowed all I can. I'm going to put a question to you. How would you like to have your nose broken, Mr. Huberman? Hello.
Simon, it's Gussie.
How'd you know where to find me?
Dr. Louthin gave me the number to call in case of emergency.
What is it?
He's disappeared, Simon.
What do you mean disappeared?
The police found his car parked on the shoulder of the freeway. There's no trace of him. That was this morning before his 10 o'clock seminar. We haven't heard from him. He's not at home.
Call me back in 5 minutes, Gussie.
You told me to call you back in 5 minutes.
There's a red-eye flight leaving at midnight. I'll be on it, Gussie. Meet me at the airport.
I thought this whole area was deserted since the space agency abandoned it.
It is. Just drive, Gussie. Don't ask questions. Did you check with the police this morning?
And his apartment, and his office at the university while he was waiting at the airport for you. Still no trace of him.
They did go to his apartment to make sure he hadn't suffered a heart attack.
Yeah, the police did, and I went out there myself to double check after I spoke to you last night.
Turn right at that access road. Stay with the car, Gussie. I won't be long.
Simon Shane, ENOLC.
5 hours left. What am I going to do?
Talk to you for a minute, Dr. Shane.
I'd like to talk to you, too. What have you done to find Dr. Louthin?
We're looking. How was your trip to Washington?
Uneventful. How'd you know I went?
Surveillance. You're a potential material witness in the Tizer case.
So is Dr. Louthin.
That's right.
Where was your surveillance when he disappeared?
He lost the team and was following him. It wasn't an accident. He did it on purpose. Why would he want to do that?
Find him and ask him.
No, you and Louthin are close, Doctor, but let's not get these things confused. I'm not the one that did something to Dr. Louthin. I'm the one that's trying to find him. And the reason I came down here was to tell you what little we know. Now, do you want to hear it or not?
I'm sorry. I'm very concerned about him.
All right, I understand. Now, all we really got, there were no keys in the car. There wasn't a scrap of paper or not even a book of matches in the car or the trunk. Now, either he was neat as a pin, or somebody went over that car and cleaned it out. And we're guessing the last is what happened.
So would I. Was his car in running order?
It's fine. Had a full tank of gas and air in all the tires. To tie a can to it, he's not in any hospital or jail, and he's not in the morgue. In fact, we're not even sure he was in that car when he was abandoned on the freeway. But we're looking for him. That's all we got.
Not one whole hell of a lot.
That's a fair appraisal of the situation, Doctor. I'll stay in touch.
Ah, Dr. Shane. Please excuse the intrusion. My name is Salt. Albert Salt. I'm here to replace Harry Tizer as your contact.
Contact for what, Mr. Salt?
Under the circumstances, I certainly understand your caution, Doctor. That's precisely why I'm here.
And why is that?
The present situation doesn't really permit us the luxury of time to fence, Doctor. Here are my credentials.
I wouldn't call your picture and description sufficient credentials.
If you remember having looked at Harry's ID card, you may recall it carried the identical seal as mine does.
Anyone could have that seal duplicated.
Yes, that's true. Anyway, I'm to thank you officially for making your trip to Washington. At least now we know all about Harry.
I don't think I follow you.
All right. Let's start with money. Harry brought you your research funds in a briefcase in packets of $1,000 each, in worn bills. He came on a monthly +1 basis. Monday of the first month, Tuesday the second month, and so on. Am I correct so far?
Possibly. This money you say Harry brought us, how much do you suppose he brought, if he did, the last time he was here?
$320,000. How much further must I go on to satisfy you that I am who I purport to be, Doctor?
Just tell me why, if I was in the right department in Washington, nobody contacted me.
Obviously, because your project is a significant one, very significant, and the security lid is on tight. I don't know what your project is. All I can do is make a wild guess.
You don't know what we're working on?
I was pulled off an assignment in Europe to take over this one. You are to brief me.
Do you have any background in biochemistry, chemistry, or medicine?
No. Engineering is my area of expertise.
Before we go into the project, what about Dr. Louthin?
We have a team working on his disappearance. We go from the presumption that it is connected to your project. That's why I am to offer you protection.
Bodyguards?
Mm-hmm. And if you are wise, you'll let them stay as close to you as a second skin.
You can't do research or teach a class with somebody looking over your shoulder. No, no bodyguards, Mr. Salt.
Well, I'm not authorized to force protection on you, Doctor.
Come along, we'll give you a crash course in the field we're working on. There is one thing you can offer by way of protection. There's a Detective Bender who's working on the Harry Tizer case. You can fill him in on what you know about it. That'll get him off my back, and he might help find Dr. Louthin.
For that, I'll need an okay from Washington.
Miss Wujek, I'd like you to meet Mr. Salt. He's doing some PR work for the university.
What do you do?
He wants to know about cloning. He knows nothing about it.
You're my first class, Mr. Salt, so stop me if I'm not being clear, okay?
Yes, I promise.
Well, all living organisms are made up of cells, the cell being the smallest unit that makes up the structure of the body. Oh, I know I'm going to screw this up.
Press on, Miss Wujek.
Well, cells come in assorted shapes, sizes, and functions. Inside it's got a nucleus, which contains hereditary information, all the information necessary for the entire organism. There's some mitochondria, shaped like jelly beans, which produce chemical energy. There's ribosomes. These are where protein synthesis goes on. Now, all those are called organelles, and they sort of float in a water, enzyme, vitamin molecule liquid called cytoplasm. All cells, because the nucleus contains all the information for the entire end product, start out the same, called undifferentiated. Now, what makes them a bone cell or a muscle cell is complicated, and nobody really understands it too well. Except him. You're up, Doctor.
All right. To clone is to take undifferentiated cells and direct them to do the many various jobs cells do. If one succeeds, you have a carbon copy of the original. The first successful cloning was done with carrots. Then they cloned a frog. In the case of carrots, they developed a seed which grew normally to a mature carrot. In the case of frogs, they developed tadpoles.
Applied to people, if you could clone people, you could make 50 Robert Redfords, all identical in every detail.
That, in essence, is cloning, Mr. Salt. Any questions?
No, it's very interesting. Miss Wujek, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Would you mind walking me to my car, Doctor?
Thanks, Gussie.
My car's parked over there. I was given a message to pass along to you, Doctor. To me, it sounds cryptic, but now I'm not so sure. Am I right? Your project is to advance the cloning process to higher life forms?
That's close enough.
Doctor, I'm instructed to authorize you to attempt to clone a human being. I'm to ask for an estimate of your financial needs. Funding is unlimited. You are to start right away. Increase your staff if necessary.
I don't believe it.
Believe it, Doctor. Cash in the amount of $5 million is already on its way here, so there'll be no delay in your getting started. You can have all or part of the $5 million delivered to you tomorrow morning.
Dr. Louthin and I talked about that. To clone a human. We expected government demands for proof of our theories. Endless debates by committees.
Well, it seems you are mistaken, Doctor. Can you start the experiment right away?
No.
This surprises me.
Well, your people may want me to go ahead now, but what if I succeed? The potential applications are awesome.
Yes, they're overwhelming, I know, but they must have considered that before they authorized you to proceed.
Well, I want them to tell me, personally. I want it spelled out on paper and signed by every member of the authorizing committee.
All right. I'll see what I can do. If they agree, can you leave for Washington, say within 36 hours?
For that meeting, Mr. Salt, I'm ready to leave immediately. Just 1 hour left. Gussie! Gussie!
Hi.
I need a chunk of your life. I need help. I can't explain here, but I need help now.
I don't understand.
You will. I know I can trust you, Gussie. Trust me.
Well, tell me what you want done, and I'll do it.
Let's go.
Well, where are we going?
To the rocket test facility. Go!
When they quit testing rocket engines here, they just left all this stuff to rust?
What else could they do with it? Mechanical progress is expensive. Everything is so specific in design, it's useless anywhere else.
Must have cost a small fortune.
Simon Shane, ENOLC, +1, Augusta Wujek. Say your name into the speaker.
Augusta Wujek. This is unreal.
It was designed by Dr. Louthin for the government when the Cold War was at its peak and germ warfare was one of its main worries. It was built secretly and kept very secret. It was intended as a place for biochemists to come in case germ war started, to develop antidotes, or at least have a chance to attempt to. Fortunately, it was never needed. So this secret, immense complex just sat here, unused, keeping itself clean. That is until Dr. Louthin decided to borrow it for the research we were doing.
Just how big is this whole place?
Well, we've got every facility necessary for 100 people to survive for 1 year without ever going above ground. Gussie, there's no way, but I've got to try to prepare you for what you're about to see. Dr. Louthin and I were approached by the government. They were willing to fund our clone research. In working on the acceleration process, we made some unexpected strides. We didn't tell the government. We skimmed money and continued to work here. What came of that? That's what you're going to see. Simon Shane, +1.
It's you. Is it alive?
Yes.
I never thought anyone would be able to do it.
Neither did I.
How long till the moment of birth?
Now. I have no idea what they'll be like, if they'll be able to walk, if they'll have intelligence. I just don't know. There's a possibility of shock. The entire clone organism is monitored by computer. What we do now, Gussie, is ask the computer if this is the moment.
Does that mean what I think it means?
Yes. There's no turning back now, Gussie. I'll start the fluid elimination cycle. We'll scrub up. Gussie? Press the 4 buttons on the top row. That will sanitize and lock off the lab and hospital section. We gotta get him out of here. I'll detach the umbilical. You go get the blankets.
I feel weak. What happened to me?
You know who you are?
Of course. I'm Simon Shane, MD, PhD, professor of biochemistry. My driver's license number is 679305. I know my social security number, too, if that'll convince you I know who I am.
No need. We'll put you in a hospital room where you can rest. Let's get him out of here.
This is the beginning, Simon. We could fail, but if we succeed, if the artificial uteral environments do work, the umbilical connections are compatible, if the growth and maturation techniques all work, if your procedure for guiding undifferentiated cells proves to be effective, if all those things happen, there's a day ahead of you, Simon. The day the clones come full cycle, when you have to face those carbon copies of yourself, the first human being to confront a true duplicate. Think about that, Simon. You'll never be totally prepared for it, but you got to try. It won't be an easy time for you, but think of them. You've lived years. The clones will be new. They'll need you, the original. No, it won't be easy, but what an adventure.
Simon? Are you all right?
I knew, Gussie. I knew he looked like me. I've watched him develop, gotten used to it, knowing they look like me. But he's more than just a copy. He is me. A doctor, a biochemist. He could walk into my class and teach. He could go to see my parents and they wouldn't know the difference because there is no difference. Why couldn't Dr. Louthin have been here? Why not, Gus? I'm not ready for this. Neither is he, is he? He's sitting in there, Simon Shane. How do I tell him he's not Simon Shane? That he is and he isn't? That he's a clone? Hyperventilating. You know what to do, do it. All of a sudden, I didn't feel it coming. All of a sudden, I know you, and I don't know who you are. I'm dizzy, probably confused. How's your heart rate? A little fast, but slowing down. Some weakness, but that's passing too. What happened to me? I don't remember. Nothing. Everything. Well, it's almost enough, isn't it? Seriously, what did happen? It's too soon to discuss it. Don't con me. I'm a doctor. Tell me what happened to me. It's a big jolt. Well, I'm a big boy. Jolt me. You're not Simon Shane. What kind of ridiculous thing is that to say? What did I do? Become somebody else? I know who I am. I'm Simon Shane. Steal my wallet, but don't steal my name, all right? You're a clone. And you're off your rocker. I'm working on some very sophisticated cloning experiments, but working on cloning and being a clone are two different things. We've got the same face. There are only two explanations for identical faces. Identical twins and cloning. Do you have a brother? No, I don't. Then I'm a clone? No. How do I know it's not you who's the clone? What's the last thing you remember? Before you woke up and saw Gussie and me in the lab. Dr. Louthin and I were taking cells from me to start the first human. I am a clone. The acceleration techniques worked. All the techniques worked. Where's Dr. Louthin? Does he know? No, he doesn't. He disappeared 2 days ago. Oh, why couldn't Dr. Louthin have been here? Damn it, why not? Our intention was to start the clones to come full cycle at 4-hour intervals. What number am I? You're the first. Well, if you call me Simon and then the others come along, we're going to be hip deep in Simons by morning. Well, you're the papa, loosely speaking. What's my name, Father? Choose your own. To simplify charting our progress, I suppose numbers would be wiser than names. I'll be one, okay? Why not? Yes, I can. Can what? I feel well enough to. Well enough to what? To help with the delivery of the other clones. You just asked me that, didn't you? No. I thought it. If what we're thinking is accurate, we've got another load added to our test programs. Quick experiment. I'll send, you try to receive. Go. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary, clear as a bell, Father, I'll send. Once more enter the breach, dear friends, once more. Also clear as a bell, as if your thought were mine. I wonder if we'll all have that capacity. I don't know.
I was wondering how this interview was going down.
Fine. I'm a clone, I know it, and I don't mind. I'm one.
This is really wacky, looking at the two of you. Same voice, same face, same.
And more of us to come.
He's the first one that didn't speak right away.
That's because I told him not to.
Then they all have the telepathy ability?
Evidently, all of them. I can hear them think, they can hear me. What we don't know is if they can hear each other think, or the range. Look, Gussie, call the university and see if there's anything on Dr. Louthin.
If you don't mind checking the IVs on 5 and 9.
No, 1 and 2 are going to do that.
Oh, right. For a minute there, I forgot how many of you there are now, Doctor.
Father. I'm 2, Father. 5 is responding to the IV. I'd suggest whole blood. We certainly have enough donors. No, we haven't run blood tests on all of you yet. There might be variations. Give him a blood test, then give him some plasma. You're the boss, Papa. Anything about Ezra?
Coffee?
Please, any word about Dr. Louthin?
No, nothing. Oh, there was a message from Mr. Salt. He'll call you at the university at 11. Here. Answer me a question, Simon. What you've accomplished, it's monumental. Why aren't we jumping up and down and drinking champagne?
Because we've been so involved that the full emotional realization hasn't dawned on us yet. As to why we're not drinking champagne is less complicated. We don't have any.
But you do have to go back to the university to take Mr. Salt's phone call. You could pick some up on your way back.
And I will. We couldn't have done it without you, Gus.
Yes, you could have. You better get started.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that late. All right, you watch the store. I'll be back in an hour. And while I'm gone, you be thinking of how I'm going to explain a busload of Simon Shanes to the world and to the government in particular.
No, I'm sorry to say, Dr. Abbott. I've talked to our investigation team less than an hour ago. So far, I can't find a trace of Dr. Louthin. Now, another team is coming in to join them.
I appreciate anything you can do, Mr. Salt.
Oh, please. About that trip to Washington we discussed. I've been in touch with the people, and they are willing to have that meeting. Can you leave tomorrow?
Yes.
You'll find an airline ticket in the top drawer of the desk you're sitting at. You'll be met at Dallas Airport. Have a good flight, Doctor. Good night.
Not a clone. I won't be a clone. There's nothing we can do to change the way we are. You know that. I'm Simon Shane. MD, PhD. My mother's name is... Don't walk in the fringes. You'll explode. Walk into the middle of it. Confront it. That's what we're all trying to do. It's the only way we'll make it. Don't tell me what you're doing. You're a clone. I'm Simon Shane. So am I. So are we all. I'm Simon Shane. I'm not a clone. Simon Shane. I'm Simon Shane. Somebody! Not a clone. Get out! Get out! Simon Shane. Identity crisis. Get something. Not too heavy a dose. Pull up, brother. Pull up. Get home. Simon Shane. Simon Shane. Simon Shane! I'll stay with you. Which one are you? 2. How can you take this? We're nothing. A clone is a cell. Nothing. I'm more than that. Are you number 2? What are you? Like you? An MD? PhD? A clone. One of the first. One of the very first.
If you would have forgotten the booze after I slaved over these, I'd have brained you.
Where'd you get all this stuff?
Oh, from the crates in the storage area. Several of your children were complaining of hunger pains.
Delicious. I didn't know I was hungry. Up the rebels and down the hatch. You know, I was thinking about this telepathic capacity on the way to the university. I think the reason for it is electrical. My mind and the clones' minds are on the same electrical wavelength. Not close, but exactly on the same one.
An EEG could give you some answers.
I knew you'd want me to find out what the boys in the back room will have. Champagne, starting with number 1. All right, number 1, I know we can hold our liquor.
Oh, Simon.
How are they? Mostly fine. Six is having some trouble adjusting to his clone status. Point of interest, Father, when you were looking at the plane ticket, we saw it two-dimensional, like a TV image. All of you? To the last clone. Other than that, we've been running some personality profile tests on each other. Find anything interesting? Some minor variations, slight, but they're there. Or at least that'll guarantee a hedge against boredom. Talking to each other is like talking to myself, 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 myself.
If you don't mind my curiosity, can you all hear each other telepathically?
No, Gus. We can hear Papa think, and he us. But that's the edge of the parameter. We clones can't hear each other. How many of you are physically able to travel one? Most. 4 of you are coming with me to Washington. I'm meeting the people who are financing the clone research.
That ought to shake up the stewardesses when the 5 of you climb aboard.
Point well taken, Father.
What?
Oh, Papa Simon was just thinking we're going to have to do something about that.
I'll never get used to this. Do you think it's wise to take them out so soon? I mean, they were just born today.
They're doctors. They know if they can travel or not. I may need some help.
Why would you need help?
I don't know, Gus. Harry's been turned into a vegetable. Dr. Louthin has disappeared, and now our contact tells me I can start human clone research. It's out of sync. It doesn't make any sense. So I told Salt I want a face-to-face meeting to find out.
To find out what?
I don't know. Whatever. I've got a suspicion chewing at me, and I've got to find out what it is and settle it.
I hope you had a more comfortable flight than I did, Doctor. I had turbulence all the way.
We're headed toward the Capitol building. I hope you're following, 5. Right behind you in a cab, Father. 2, can you hear me? Loud and clear, Father. I'm outside the Library of Congress. All right, 2, go inside and settle near the government officials' reference indexes. I'm on my way. 1, did you rent a car? Yes, I'm outside the Watergate complex waiting for something to do. Any instructions, Father? Stand pat until I know where I'm going.
It was difficult getting the entire committee in one place at one time, but they're there and they're waiting. They must think your project is a big one, Doctor.
It can be. Where are we having this meeting?
In a safe office. It's not in a government building.
I still don't know what department I'm working under.
A specific unit responsible for you and your work is titled LTBRB, Long-Term Biochemicals Research Projects. I cannot tell you the name of the parent department. My position is field director. I'm responsible for difficult assignments.
Like finding Dr. Louthin, for instance.
Yes, but remember, he was offered protection just as you were, and he refused it, as you did.
Where was Harry's protection?
You know, our training is supposed to be a do-it-yourself kit for protection. It doesn't always work. The detective, Bender, he hasn't been bothering you, has he?
No, he hasn't.
Good. This is it?
Can you see the address? I can see it, Father. I'm on my way.
Good morning. William T. Sherman to see Mr. Sanderson.
Oh, go right in, Mr. Sherman. You're expected.
Thank you. Oh, Doctor, you understand that the names of the committee are to be kept strictly secret. Gentlemen, this is Dr. Simon Shane. Doctor, Lieutenant General Trancas, Mr. F. Parkin Wayner, he is legal consultant to the committee. Admiral T.J.C. Millis, he is committee chairman, and Mr. Arthur Pine. Mr. Pine is assistant to the Senate committee and authorized to speak in their behalf.
Gentlemen.
Sit down, please.
Why wouldn't you take Mr. Salt's word as to the go-ahead on the human clone experiment, Doctor?
Because, Admiral, it's so incredible that you people would allow me to undertake that kind of research at all. As I told Mr. Salt, the potential applications are awesome.
Two, did you get their names? I'm checking them now. There is a Lieutenant General Trancas. Their faces look alike, Father, but that man is not General Trancas. Admiral Millis is also a phony. There is no F. Parkin Wayner licensed to practice law in Washington, Virginia, or Maryland. So he's got to be a fake too. I'm looking for Arthur Pine. No listing in the Senate staff lists. What are we going to do now, Simon? I don't know.
Though I can't project a schedule, I'm convinced the direction we're pursuing is the most feasible one.
Nobody's trying to push you, Doctor. We understand that your work can't be rushed. But look at it practically. You want it accelerated, so do we. And that's why we're suggesting that you enlarge your staff. Now, we can provide you with top-notch personnel. They'll work under you. They won't supersede you, interfere with you. They'll simply assist you.
That's not practical.
Why? There are other skilled biochemists in the world besides yourself, Doctor. Now, we could have 2 highly qualified men at your lab waiting for you when you get back to it.
No, thank you, General. At this point in time, the only meaningful research can be done by me and Dr. Louthin.
Unfortunately, Dr. Louthin is missing.
Well, gentlemen, the fact is that unless he's found, this meeting is a waste of your time and mine. The clone research can't move an inch without Dr. Louthin.
We were led to believe that you were the clone master, Dr. Shane. That Dr. Louthin functioned only in a consulting capacity.
The original concept and research was mine. But Dr. Louthin's special knowledge of enzymes and cell development was and is essential to the project.
Got another one for you, Father. The office you're in was leased by the National Broadcasting Company as a temporary space for a documentary unit. Nobody's authorized to be using it. All right, one. When these people leave, pick one of them and follow it. See where he goes. Have 5 take another and do the same.
Which means, if I read you correctly, Doctor, that without Dr. Louthin, there is no human cloning experiment possible.
That's exactly what I meant, Mr. Salt.
Then what's the point of the document of authorization you got us here to sign?
There is no point if you're willing to concede that you can't or won't find Dr. Louthin.
I didn't hear anyone make that concession, Doctor.
Then I suggest you sign the authorization and make an all-out effort to find Dr. Louthin so we can get started.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Yes. Well, this document is an irrevocable authorization for you to proceed with the human cloning experiments with full government approval.
Father? Father? Simon, do you hear me? Yes. This is Spy. Where are you? With you, at the airport, by the phones. I see you. Who did you follow here? Wayner and Pine. Wayner went to Thailand. Pine went to Switzerland. Wayner used a Danish passport in the name Hersheimer. Pine's passport was East German, also in the name Hersheimer. Father, this is 2. You were followed to the airport by the woman who was in the outer office at 9797. She made a phone call and then left and went back to the city. What am I in the middle of?
Up to his neck in a mess is what he's into. If those phonies aren't from our government, isn't it about the right time to yell for the Marines or somebody?
Simon's sitting in Dr. Louthin's office at the university thinking about that possibility right now.
Dr. Louthin's missing. Simon got off the plane and now he's being followed, which means he can't come here without leading him to this place. I mean, what's to think about?
He told them he needed Dr. Louthin to complete the human clone research. If they have him, they'll have to do something. All he can do now is wait and see what happens.
And while Simon's waiting, it's possible they'll grab him. Then where will we be?
You leave me no choice. You're a dead man, Dr. Shane. We're going to have a very important conversation, Doctor. You've put me into a most frustrating position. In Washington, you told me that without Dr. Louthin, any human clone experiment is impossible. If true, then your cloning experiments are impossible, since Dr. Louthin, to borrow a phrase, has already shuffled off this mortal coil.
He's dead?
Yes, he quite intentionally antagonized one of my employees. And that clumsy clot shot him to death. I have no compunction against shooting you, Doctor.
I've never heard anything put as cold-bloodedly as you just described murder. What kind of man are you?
A self-serving man. Sit down. Sit down. So, as I was saying, Dr. Louthin quite intentionally brought about his own death, and I'm asking myself why he did. The only logical answer in my mind is that he feared we might give him some drug to cause him to tell the exact state of the cloning experiment.
It's your fantasy, Mr. Salt. Make logic of anything you wish.
If you can't continue without Dr. Louthin, you are useless to me. If you can, then you've lied to me, and you're totally unreliable. So, there's one specific question in my mind. Given yourself useless or unreliable, how do I profit from my rather considerable investment in your cloning experiment?
How did you expect to profit from cloning experiments?
Don't be so naive. What could I gain from a nation-by-nation sale of a human cloning process? The profit could be astronomical. That's what intrigued me and caused me to play the charade for you.
But now the charade is over.
Indeed it is. You are going to hand over to me all notes, test results, projections, theoretical concepts relating to the cloning experiment.
And if I don't hand these documents over to you?
Without your interference, I'm sure I can muster enough ingenuity to find them sooner or later.
If they exist.
I'm convinced they do, Doctor. You formed quite an attachment to Miss Woodjack. I wonder if I might not use her vulnerability to convince you.
She had nothing to do with the cloning experiments.
That's not the point, Doctor.
And if I could hand documents over to you?
With the documentation in hand, I see no advantage in harming you or Miss Woodjack. I envy you. Very few ever have the real experience to be able to choose between life and death. Yours and Miss Woodjack's.
I'm going to bring him to the lab. Empty the files in the desks. Strip all the program tapes off the computers. Every notebook and scrap of paper. Box them and put them in Gussie's car. One, listen. Yes, Simon. Make sure you get Gussie out of there. You know where the safe is and the combination. Divide the money, then scatter to the four winds. Now get going. But where would that leave you, Simon? We share the same mind. You know I can't kill him. I can't even try. We have to be certain he doesn't see any of you. He doesn't know you exist, and he can't find out you do. And he can't get hold of any of the research notes, or he'd know. He'd hunt you down. You have to run. Now move. We'll be there in 20 minutes.
I knew Dr. Louthin designed a hidden underground lab for your government. I wonder why it never occurred to me he might be carrying out extracurricular experiments in it.
You said my government. That Dr. Louthin designed this for my government. Isn't that your government, too?
No. Whenever there are large sums of money resting in hands other than mine, there, sir, I proudly say, this is my country. How far underground are we?
20 stories.
Superb engineering, Joe.
Simon Shane plus one visitor.
Well, very impressive. I doubt there's a better equipped lab anywhere in the world. What are those?
Artificial environments. Experimental.
Uh-huh. A full-grown human might fit into one of these. Very easily.
There's hardly any point in developing an artificial environment that can only house a small animal. It's too expensive and involved to keep replacing with larger versions.
I see. I'm very pleased you weren't wasting my money, Doctor. Of course, I want the plans of all of these. Where do you keep them?
In computer tapes or in notes and files.
So, shall we get them? I hardly expect the truth from you, Doctor. But how soon do you expect to be able to attempt to clone a human being?
That was beyond my expectation. That was a dream.
What's that?
Fire bell.
Where's the fire?
I don't know.
Well, all right. Let's have a look. We've got to save the tapes and the records! Come on! The tapes! Where are they?
I don't know.
Don't lie to me. Tell me where they are, or I'll kill you where you stand.
My handprint and the sound of my voice operates these doors. You kill me and you don't get out of here.
I've paid you millions for that. I want it.
That means the storage area's on fire. We may not make it.
Well, then get this out of here!
Look out! Hold on. Put it over your head. Follow me. This way, we're trapped. Come on, this way. on one. We gotta get going.
Here, put this on. Got it.
Okay. Follow me.
Come on. Can't go this way. Around here to the elevator. This way. All right, let's go. Watch out, he's got a gun. Remember what you gotta do now.
All right, we know.
Come on, follow me.
Here he comes.
Come on, over here, Father, over here. Father, put this on. Hurry up. Stay here, Father. Get out of my way. Hey. Stop him! Stop him!
Damned right I thought you were dying.
What's the point of being a kid if you can't pull your papa's leg once in a while? I'm gonna live, but it hurts, Papa.
Send for an ambulance!
Okay, Ed.
Broken shoulder, some internal bleeding. The bullet's still inside.
Who am I talking to? You, Simon?
No, Gussie, I'm number one. I just look a lot like Papa's side of the family.
Oh. Then how are we gonna get him to a hospital?
As me, we'll trade places when we get out. Gussie, you ride to the hospital with him. We're allergic to penicillin.
I know, and some shellfish. I'm not stupid, Papa.
And the fire itself was small. Some alcohol mixed with other chemicals fed by bottled oxygen. There's no question it was intentionally started by whoever the man was who shot Dr. Shane.
And Dr. Shane could offer up no explanation of the shooting?
Nope, none. You've never seen the man before, but he's sure he'd recognize him if he ever sees him again.
Had the rocket engine test bunker been operational, losses from the fire would have been in the tens of thousands. However, since it is not presently in use, the loss is minimal and is estimated at approximately
19,300,000. Yes?
Hospital just released. He wasn't hurt badly, just his shoulder.
Where did he go?
He went to a travel agent's office.
He's running.
In a lot of different directions. He bought 13 plane tickets, all one way, to 13 different cities.
Get me a list of the destinations.
Yes, sir.
Did he do it?
Will depart from gate 32. Passengers may proceed to the gate area for check-in.
I always thought that was the kind that would turn you on, Simon.
Really?
Well, that's the last of your children, Papa. All of them gone to the four winds now.
Yeah, with tinted contact lenses to change their eye color. Names changed, hair changed. Changed enough, I hope, so Mr. Salt won't recognize them if their paths should cross.
Well, when they get to wherever they're going, what are they gonna do?
One or another of them is gonna follow every direction I ever wanted to take. Our minds are hooked up. And the research is not over. I've got to know what happens to them.
And if trouble comes, you'll run to them like a protective father.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm only where they started from. From here on, they'll change. Develop their own strengths, their own hang-ups, and we'll never be this alike again. But I wonder, what's out there for them? I love her, Simon. I want to marry her, but should I? What would she be marrying, Father? I'm a clone. I don't know what's happening to me, Simon. I'm getting older, feeble. I can't hear you. I'm in Paris. Mr. Salt is here, too. He saw me, Simon. This is 7. I've been arrested. They took my fingerprints. They think I'm Simon Shane.